Bait Radio. Hooked on music.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of our interview series focusing on the DJs of Bait Radio. Tonight we are interviewing DJ 7K, host and DJ of the House Rotation show here on Bait Radio. Hello 7K, nice to have you here.
Hello guys, I'm 7K.
Can you please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yep, I live in Gladbeck, that's in Germany. It's more or less small town, I guess. We have around 75,000 people living here. I live more or less directly in the city, so it's just a few hundred meters and I'm in the shopping mall. That's quite cool. Yeah, I like big city life in general. I could imagine to live in a bigger city maybe at some time. I don't know.
Okay, that's really cool. But when did you start DJing?
When did I start DJing? Yeah, that's a good question actually. I can't even tell. I guess it all started in my teens, I believe. I started making playlists, programming my stereo sound system, which was able to handle 5 CDs at once. And I started to make playlists, playing different tracks from different CDs. When I did grow a bit older, I started mixing. I think that was in 2006. I released my first professional, which was not even close to professional, mix, which was the year mix of 2006. In 2009 I started to get into it a bit more deep. I made some kind of monthly compilations with the latest tracks of the past months. I think those were 1 hour long mixes which I shared with my friends. And I kept doing this for a few years, more or less regularly. And I started to play at my friends' parties, playing some minor DJ sets there, like just making track lists for their parties or DJing live there, at least for a few hours or so. And in 2012 then I finally made a step further. I decided to apply to CB Radio, which is the former Bait radio station, inspired by DJ Snoxy, our former live DJ here. And he inspired me of doing live shows, live mixes in front of an audience, which was maybe not a completely new situation, considering I was playing at my friends' parties, but those were friends, and now it was playing it in front of people I don't know. I didn't see them, so that was a strange feeling at the first time. But I got into it, established my weekly radio show here, and I feel quite happy about it at the moment.
Yeah, that's really cool. Was it house music already from the start, or did that evolve over time?
You mean the radio show?
I mean your mixing in general, like when you started in 2006, your first ever mixes, was it mainly house music already back then?
No, that was actually crossover, many different styles, many different genres. Let's say early dance music, dance-ish music, pop music, maybe some black music, but crossover actually.
Since you started with more, mixtapes and crossover mixes, why did you decide to go house music only? Why did you shift your focus?
I see where you're coming from. I've always liked dance music, to be honest. Like in the 90s, I grew up with dance music. That's what I liked. Then when I was 14 or so, my best friend was listening to hip-hop a lot and I was following him, kind of. And we were only listening to the black music, rap music and all this stuff. But then the contact to him dropped a bit and I had new friends from the new school and since dance music was always what fascinated me, I was just sticking with it, getting back to it more or less. And then listen to hands-up music. And I think at this point, which was in 2007, 2008, 2009, so I was just going with the flow and this hands-up music, I liked it still, of course. But this sounded a bit childish to me. So I decided to go for the house music, for the grown up, for the proper music. So
Okay, but when you started doing your shows, you focus pretty much on progressive house, am I right?
Yep, that's true, actually.
But yeah, since then your sound has evolved quite a bit. Nowadays you are mostly playing future house?
Future house and deep house, yeah. I'm still trying to play a bit of the progressive house music because that's what I started with, and some people still like it, want to hear it once in a while. But yeah, mostly deep house, future house, that's what's popular at the moment. That's what the DJs play at the festivals. That's why I've changed my style a bit from the progressive house, big room house, to deep house and future house.
Okay, so it's mostly a matter of popularity.
Yeah, actually I have to go with the flow. I have to go with what's popular in the charts. What do other DJs play? What's popular on the radio stations, on the FM stations? What's popular in the clubs? That's important. What do the people hear in the clubs, on the festivals? That's what the people want to hear in the radio show as well.
So, okay, talking about DJs, do you have any favorite DJs? Some DJ that's been of great inspiration to you perhaps? Some DJ that you think is absolutely killing it?
Yeah, well, I think there's some kind of a timeline. The first DJ which really inspired me was ATB. That was in 2003, 2004. When I was listening to trance music a lot, I was listening to Radio Sunshine Live. That was, or still is, the German electronic music radio. And ATB was quite popular over there, and I loved all of his tunes. He has amazing trance music. For me, he's the godfather of trance, even though some people would say it's Armin van Buuren, but for me it's not, it's ATB. And yeah, when the things switched over a bit to house music, the DJ which inspired me most was actually Avicii, because that was the guy who brought the mixing and the songs to another level for me. And that's also the reason why I have kicked my first ever episode off with the song by Avicii, because that guy inspired me the most at the time period when I started really thinking into having a radio show. Another man I need to mention here is probably Eric Prydz. I think Eric Prydz was a lot popular even before Avicii was even entering with his first ever single into the charts. But Eric Prydz played a sound which I really liked. I've liked all of his old tunes, I've liked the new tunes. So Eric Prydz is also a DJ which had quite a big influence on my style of playing music. Then of course we need to name a few big names like the Swedish House Mafia, Axel Ingrosso now, which is 2/3 of the Swedish House Mafia. Of course Don Diablo, who is maybe my favorite DJ of the moment, since things switched from progressive house a bit to future house. I need to mention Weissen as well, because to me they are very solid progressive house producers, and I've watched one of their live sets from the Ultra Music Festival Miami from 2016, and I was just impressed how they were catching the crowd, how they made the crowd dance to their sounds, and also their selection of songs. That really impressed me and made me wanting to use this for my own radio show as well. And then of course I have to mention EDX and Caliper, who are both DJs from Switzerland, and for me those are the currently best deep house producers, because all their tracks have these chilled out and summerish vibes in it, and yet those are great tracks. They produce great tracks to kick your show off with, because on the one hand it's deep house, but they still use some future house elements, and that's just perfect for me.
Okay, so that's quite a list of DJs. Can you mention how these DJs have influenced you, and Did they make you change the way you DJ?
Yeah, how did they influence me? I think by listening to their live sets or watching the live broadcasts from the festivals and seeing how they are working with the crowd, what they do, what tracks they play, in what order they play the tracks. Are they going crossover? Are they building up their sets? I think that's something very important you need to take in consideration. And what was the second part of the question?
Yeah, so I asked how these DJs have changed your way of mixing.
How did they change my way of mixing? Okay, I guess first of all, it's dependent on the music which I played when. I started with, as we discussed already, with progressive house. And at this time, when I was just starting my show, I think the show was a lot more interactive than it's now, because I was taking live requests and had to build these requests in, and so sometimes the show got a bit out of my hand, I would say, because I had to do some crazy transitions from house to progressive house, back to EDM, then to some deep house, and well, that did sound quite chaotic. And then at some point I decided not to take live requests anymore. I decided to have a proper set, to play a proper set, to still take requests, but in advance. So you can make your request and I will play it, just if it doesn't fit in the next week, maybe in 2 weeks. So I'm just able to build up the set a little bit, not to have a chaotic set. And how did these DJs help me by that? I think, as I already mentioned, by having a look at how they build their sets, or not only their live sets, they all have their own radio shows, also their radio shows. But I think because there's a difference between a live festival set and the radio show set. Don Diablo is for example playing his Hexagon radio every week, and I'm always listening, having a look what tracks does he play, in which order does he play the tracks, what is he doing, is he having some special features like a demo drop, a guest DJ, whatever. And I'm doing this for a couple of DJs, maybe not each and every DJ every week, just to have a rough overview of what they do they change anything. And that's what helped me building up my radio show.
Okay, great. So, what would you say makes a really good set?
To me, a set is a good set when you are able to reach out to the people, when you make the people want to listen further. It's important that the set is never getting bored. You can build up your set, but then you need to follow your plan. I hear a lot of sets, even by popular DJs, who do crossover mixing with different styles. This can be good for a festival, but in my opinion, not for a radio show. You need a plan, and you need to play tracks that fit to each other, can be similar style. Keying is very important, and you need your own style. Or at least people need to be able to recognize that you are behind the decks. I try playing different styles every week without losing my own style. If you want to break it down, let's say deep house and future house, that's what's always present in my radio shows. And what you have to do is making it exciting, but in the same time, don't go mad. That's also not gonna work. You need to build your set up, make the people follow you, make the people to want to listen further. You can do this, for example, starting with some deep house, then you can build up the set with some future house in the end. What's not gonna work is when you start with deep house and finish off with EDM music, with some hard trap or dubstep beats. That's not gonna work, not in 1 hour. Maybe for the festival it can be good, mixing different styles together, making the crowd dance, then jump, then go totally crazy. For the festival it's great, but not for a radio show. When you start with some future house music, then you can build it up to some EDM, and that's what I'm trying. I'm always trying to have the most important styles like deep and futures in my shows, and then you can either come from the the lower side, from the chilled out side, or you can just start in the middle and go a bit more upbeat. That's, I think, what makes the show original, what makes the show yours, having your own styles and still being able to build your sets up in some way.
On average, how much time do you spend on preparing a show?
Yeah, well, it differs. Of course, there's the 1 hour of mixing the show, but then I would say a 1 hour show needs 1 to 2 hours of preparation. The first question, which always is there, is like, will this song make it to the show or will it not? And then if I decide maybe it's a yes, I've put the song on some kind of list for myself, like getting the song. And once I have it, there's a second step of deciding which songs make it to which show. So yeah, this all takes maybe 1 up to 2 hours, maybe sometimes 3, depends on how much of new music is out there.
Okay, so we talked quite a lot now about your show and house music in general. So I'm wondering, do you ever listen to any other kind of music? And if so, what genre is your favorite genre outside of house music?
Oof, that's a really tough question because I like a lot of music. I can listen to almost anything, except a few extreme, whatever, hardcore metal, punk, whatever. That's not really for me. But generally, I can listen to a lot of music, different music. I go to a lot of different festivals. Can be a rock festival, can be an EDM festival. I think in 2 weeks I'm going to some kind of a rock festival with one of my best friends, and I don't even know what bands are coming there. I don't even care, man. I just go there, get some beers, party along. I don't care. I can listen to almost everything.
Do you remember which was your first ever CD?
I knew you were gonna ask this, and actually I do remember. My first ever CD was the Dance Mission 5 with tracks on it, if I remember correctly. One of them were The Color of My Dreams by BG, the Prince of Rap. Real to Real, I Like to Move It was on it, and one of the big songs, I would say, of the electronic dance music is by The Prodigy, Start the Dance No Good. That was also on this CD. And the funny story about the CD is a very good friend of mine had the Dance Mission Volume 4, and I always wanted to borrow the CD from her, and when she finally gave it to me, I was so happy listening to it, and I told my mom, I need this CD, I need this, I want this for my birthday. And then my mom went to the shop asking the man behind the counter, and she only said, I need the Dance Mission for my son, whatever. And then she bought Volume 5, and I was so unhappy about it. I wanted this Volume 4, which my good friend had, and then I was listening to it, and yeah, I liked the music, of course. There were great tracks on it. But then my friend came and asked me, oh, can I borrow the CD from you? You have the brand new CD. Oh my god, I need it, I want it.
Okay, so in the end you each had the CD the other person wanted and you kind of just swapped them?
Yeah, man. Actually, it was like a win-win situation for both of us in the end.
Alright, I think we're nearing the end of this interview, but I do have one last question I'd really like to ask you. Can you tell the listeners how you spend your spare time? Do you have any passions or hobbies?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I like going out a lot, going out on the weekends, hanging out with my friends, going out for some drinks, visiting festivals, concerts regularly. I'm not doing any sports anymore, sadly. I've been playing handball in the club for a few years, but that's a long time ago. I like watching sports though, or at least football. Yeah, what else do I like? Of course music, which is my passion, which is my hobby, my radio show that needs some time, preparing the show properly, hosting the show.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for today. I want to thank you so much, 7K, for taking your time to answer these questions.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. You can listen to my show every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. Central European Time here on Bait Radio, or listen to the replay in case you ever missed the Monday show on Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. CT.
Bait Radio. Hooked on music.